Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Twitter Trash. And I got some weirder ones on this episode, so it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty entertaining. But before we jump right into it, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor of this video, which is My Music. So you guys have pretty much noticed that I haven't been posting on my main channel very often. That's because most of my time has been occupied with my music channel, Derek Blackman. I've done a lot of covers from Slipknot to J-Lo, to NSYNC, to Metallica, you name it. And it's all just a bunch of variants of metal covers and whatnot. It's been really fun. And if you guys can just do me a favor and just check out the channel, link will be in the description and my link tree, a card up here. If you just check out that, you want to subscribe, that would be dope. And also, if you want to follow me on Spotify and check out my music there, that would be really cool. Lots more to come. I appreciate you. Now, let's get into that sweet old trash.
Supreme victory!
This first tweet is just one of those things that you shouldn't tweet it out, but you still do anyway because you want the eyes on you, you want the clickbait, you want it just no matter what in this scenario. And I've saw this tweet everywhere because of just how stupid it is. But it says this: someone needs to create pr0n for children. Yeah, we're saying pr0n here. Hear me out. And you lost 99.9% of everybody except for, the creeps and widows. They're like, yeah, those weirdos on the dark parts of the internet. They're all clapping and shit. Young teens are already watching pr0n, but they're finding hardcore, aggressive videos that give terrible views of sex. They need entry-level pr0n, a softcore site where everyone asks for consent and no one gets choked, etc. No. The biggest thing that's wrong with this tweet, it may be semantics to some people, but to others, saying children and teens is a big difference. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear children? What do you picture when you hear the word children? You picture toddlers, young little, kids that are just little punks. They don't know anything about the world or nothing. You don't automatically picture teens. Right? Now, when you say teenagers, now you know what you picture. You picture pimply dudes, hormones raging, and all this crazy stuff happening, puberty and whatnot, right? Just stupidity. And this person's talking about teens, but mentioned children. It's already like just a huge mess. So it's like, start off by just saying young teens. Now let's get into that. Do young teens need something like that? I disagree. I don't think so. I think if you're a good parent, you will teach your kids the stuff they need to know to navigate through this world. That includes sex. You can even have an awkward conversation, one of those awkward conversations, but it's also important to have. It's like, the type of conversation to make sure that they know the difference between pr0n and like how you would actually make sweet love to somebody. You can have that conversation that would probably be super awkward for both of y'all, but you still want to have it just to make sure. It kind of reminds me of a conversation my mom had with me about hip hop, where she saw that, say, when I was around 12, 13 years old, I was really getting into a lot of hip hop. And, a lot of the lyrics and stuff like that were just egregious to her. And I understand. And she once questioned me about that stuff to see if I understood that it's entertainment and it's not something to get swept into. Because let's be real, there's a lot of people that just keep getting swept into it. They're just like, all this stuff's dope. This whole life, this gang life, whatever it is, it's dope and I want to get into it. Me, I'm like, oh no, this is entertainment. Like, I don't want to do any of this dumb shit. Same if I was listening to death metal. I don't want to disembowel anybody. I think it sounds good what's being said, but I don't identify with the lyrics whatsoever. So I think in the same way, you would want to approach, pr0n and sex in the same way, right? Just talk to your kids, make sure they understand that, hey, maybe on the first date, when you start dating in high school and stuff, you shouldn't just automatically try to eat her ass. Continuing on the same subject, ban pr0n. With the heart. There's a heart there, so with love. Now, you see this all the time from all these good old boys, right? They're always offended that that this content is out here, that this adult content exists, and saying that there's only a negative side towards it. And I disagree. Sure, there's a lot of negativity, but then there's plenty of people that can watch their adult films and they're completely fine. Like I've mentioned plenty of times that I'm not the biggest fan. If I do watch something, like, in those moments where I'm feeling squirrely, it's very rare, very few and far in between, right? And I'm not obsessed. I'm not, like, it didn't do anything to me. It had no negative effect. And I'm sure there's so many people that are in the same position. Why punish people like me or other people that watch the stuff regularly, or whatever, the people in the industry that make money through it, just because you don't like it and it's harmful to some people? Because you can make that same argument for almost everything, right? Even as convenient and as great as cars are, you can talk about how many people they kill, and it's like, to protect these people, we have to ban cars. You can talk about that with tobacco, alcohol, so on and so forth. Just, we need to protect everybody, so we gotta ban this stuff. No, we're adult, piss off. Now, this isn't trash, but I wanted to bring this up because it always brings back bad memories. Reminder that this guy was canceled because of this shirt. I'm sure that 99.9% of you that are watching this remember this guy, Matt Taylor. You remember that he landed a probe on a comet, something that's never been done before. Huge accolade, huge achievement for this dude. But he got so much shit for that shirt that he's wearing in that picture. The shirt with the pinup girls that his lady friend made for him. Obviously he's like, this is awesome, I'm gonna wear this. This is a great, I've done that. People have given me stuff, shirts, whatever, made stuff for me, bought stuff for me, and I've wore it proudly. That's exactly what this dude was doing. And then he got just completely thrown under the bus for it. His job threatened and whatnot, and then he was forced to apologize, and he was crying, and it was one of the saddest things ever, where it's like, come on, I can't believe people are freaking out about this stupid shirt. For a while it was called Shirtgate. And I just want to say this. There's a lot of people, some YouTubers that I guess you would classify them as bread tubers, that are trying to gaslight people and to say that cancel culture doesn't exist. All right. If you hear that, and if they're trying to make arguments that it doesn't exist, just don't listen to them. There's a reason why YouTubers like myself and a lot of others gained prominence, because there was so much bullshit going on. There's much less now. Some people would try to have you think that there's just as much. It's not true. Things have calmed down a lot. It's one of the reasons why I don't make content as much anymore, because things are a lot calmer. But there's a lot of people that they're only here to make money, so they have to pretend like everything is still just as bad. No, me, I was here because I was annoyed. The money was cool. Once things calmed down, I'm like, my work here is finished for the most part. Now I'm gonna have fun and I'm gonna play some music. So have you guys heard recently about what's been going on with Andrew Cuomo? I'm sure he's basically been classified as one of the Harvey Weinstein types, the Cosby types, just one of those type of scumbags, right? And I'm not gonna get into the allegations, but I just wanted to bring up this tweet that he tweeted out from 2013, because it's just, there should be a zero tolerance policy when it comes to sexual harassment, and must send a clear message that this behavior is not tolerated. I want to mention this. It's not a big deal, but it's just really annoying. So this guy tweets out, so embarrassing, I would have just lied. And this tweet went viral because the baby, who's been having some controversy with the whole Lil Nas X stuff that's going on. I'm not going to get into that either, but the baby put out a video. He's in prison and stuff. And then when he's taking the picture, it shows his height as being 5 foot. So this picture highlights it, right? And it's showing, oh, how embarrassing. I would have just lied. But, the thing is, first of all, the baby isn't that short. It's just a video. But to the internet standards, he's still technically short by being 5'8". That's Joe Rogan's height. A lot of people say, oh, Joe Rogan's actually 5'3", but Joe Rogan's be like, nah, I'm 5'8". But the whole thing is why I brought this up and why it's trash. There's some people even in the comment section that are like, or in the replies saying, you have no control over this. Why the hell would you even be embarrassed about something like this? That's like being embarrassed about your race. It's being like embarrassed about something you have no control over, right? It's something that I only mentioned, and I made a video about this. I've only really discovered online. Growing up with my friends and stuff, there was never conversations about that. No one was talking about each other's heights, you know, who's short or who's this or this or this or that, or someone that's tall was never making fun of someone that was shorter, stuff like that. It just wasn't happening because, number one, you know, us men weren't talking about other men, or even in high school, us boys weren't talking about other boys in that way. It was weird. That's really weird. And number two, like, the only type of people that were talking like that were people that you really wouldn't want to associate with anyway. Like, you know, those dumb broads that have nothing else to offer. They're just hot bimbos. And so then they had this list of, like, you must be this tall to ride this ride. And you're like, oh, you're a fucking airhead. You only care about dumb shit like that. You have no personality. I'll see you later. And then there's just some of those dudes that are, you know, idiots as well, that happen to be really tall, and that's all they have going for them. You know, they're not successful, they're not happy or anything, so all they can do is gloat about that. Well, at least I have my height, and it's like, that's sad too, you know. I'm a guy that watches combat sports, and we know some of the baddest people on the planet, like Mike Tyson, 5'9", which some people would say is short because Ben Shapiro is 5'9", and they called him a manlet. You know what I mean? I'm just like, all this shit is stupid. It's so stupid to me. The internet is, as much as it can be pretty great with all the memes, sometimes it's like, y'all minds are filled with poison. You're dumb, and you're caring about shit that you shouldn't care about. Now, I have a lot more tweets that I could go on. You know, there's some that are just really dumb. But I'm going to end with this one right here because it's a tweet that I made. And the trash came from one of my followers, which really disappointed me. So a lot of you probably know that Steven Crowder has been in and out of the hospital or something, and some lung issues or something like that. He's been posting pictures on Twitter, and so there's people that are, you know, wishing him well or whatever and stuff like that. And there's some people that are making jokes and memes because it's just a little, you know, it's a little weird. But I get it. He's trying to be lighthearted and stuff, so he's posting these pictures, I'm assuming. But, you know, it's not something that most people normally do. Like, say, I've been in the ER quite a few times in hospitals, staying overnight and stuff like that. This year, last year, you know, like, it's kind of private. I don't share the pictures. I'm not trying to have people freak out and be like, oh, poor puppy and all that stuff. I don't really like that stuff. But if that's what he wants to do, that's his prerogative. All good. But I noticed something with one of the pictures that he posted, because his huge ass beard, and I'm like, that reminds me of an episode of South Park where Cartman was laid up in the hospital and he had a beard, aka a face warmer, and then there was this one jingle that kept being played. Seasons change, time passes by. So I just put the pictures side by side and put seasons change, time passes by, and pretty much everybody got a good laugh. I was like, oh yeah, like, look at that. And then there's always that one guy, and I recognize this guy. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy actually follows me. And he had this to say: I'll be the first to admit Crowder's a lolcow, but this is effed up. The dude almost died. And I'm like, puzzled. I'm like flabbergasted. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what? The way that this tweet was written was as if I, like, wished him harm or something, or I said something negative to him, like, oh man, like, oh good, I'm glad this you know what I mean? Like, it reminded me as if I'm like, what, this was all lighthearted, what even is this? So I replied with this: I'd be honored if people memed my hospital pics. Quit being so soft. And that's genuine. If there are pictures online of me and people do memes with them, doesn't matter if it's whatever or not. For example, Tom Segura, you know, he broke his arm and, like, snapped, I think his Achilles tendon or something. He fucked himself up playing basketball. And people memed it to oblivion, and he loved it. And I would have loved it as well. So that's what I'm talking about. So then the guy replies with this: hey, who gives a shit someone dying if you disagree with them, right? At that point, I was like, am I being trolled? Is this guy just like a master troller where he just said something that is completely irrelevant to what I just said? Like, if he did, like, this has nothing to do with disagreeing with somebody. This is a picture that reminded me of this. It doesn't matter who it is. If I didn't know who Steven Crowder was and I came across this picture and I'd be like, oh, this guy reminds me of Cartman, I would have done the same thing. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, it just disappointed me because I'm like, wait, I recognize this guy. I know this guy has followed me on Twitter for quite some time. And it's like, and it's almost like embarrassing that I have people that could be this dense or this dumb following me. And I'm like, yo, if anyone else feels this way, I would really appreciate it if you pissed off. We're here to have fun, man. Like, get out of here with that shit.
Fuck off!
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Twitter Trash. I appreciate y'all. Everybody who supports me on Patreon, I appreciate y'all. And if you guys followed me on my music page, Derek Blackman, or followed me on Spotify, I appreciate you guys as well. Y'all take care, and you have a great one.